We live in a culture that glorifies hustle. Everywhere you look, people are telling you to work harder, grind longer, sleep less, and sacrifice everything in pursuit of financial success. And while discipline and diligence absolutely matter, there is a deeper truth that often goes unnoticed. Wealth is not simply the result of human effort. It is the manifestation of divine power working through you. Hard work may bring survival, but divine power brings abundance. When you understand this truth, you stop chasing wealth and start attracting it, because you're no longer depending on your own limited strength. You're aligning with an unlimited source. Wealth is not random. It is not reserved for a select group of people born into privilege. It is a power that has already been given to you, placed inside of you before you even took your first breath. That means wealth is not something you have to beg for or hope one day to find. It is something you have to activate. Think about it. If you believe in a creator who designed the heavens and the earth, who placed seeds in the ground with the power to multiply and oceans with the power to flow endlessly, then how could he not have also placed inside of you the power to create and multiply wealth? The soil doesn't stress about producing crops. It simply responds to the seed. In the same way, wealth is not created by straining. It is created by aligning with divine principles. The mistake many people make is assuming that if they just add more hours to their work, they will eventually break through financially. But have you noticed that some of the hardest working people in the world are still struggling? They work long days, sometimes even nights, yet never seem to rise above just getting by. Why? Because they are relying only on their own strength, not on divine power. Wealth is not guaranteed by effort alone. It is unlocked when you combine effort with wisdom, with alignment, with obedience to the principles of increase. Divine power doesn't cancel out your work, it multiplies it. One idea that comes from a higher place can produce more than years of labor. One divine connection, one opportunity aligned with your purpose can elevate you in ways that all the grinding in the world never could. That's why some people can do the same business as another person and achieve drastically different results. It's not just about the business model, it's about the power operating behind the person. You can either operate on human energy, which is limited, or divine power, which is limitless. To tap into this power, you must shift your mindset. Wealth is not about chasing money. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts and multiplies resources. That requires you to see money not as the goal, but as the fruit of alignment. When you align your thoughts, actions, and vision with divine truth, wealth becomes a natural byproduct. Just like a tree doesn't strive to produce fruit, you don't have to strive endlessly to produce wealth. The fruit is the evidence of the root. If your root system is connected to divine wisdom, your life will bear the fruit of wealth. Another key to unlocking this power is authority. You've been given the authority to create, to expand, and to take dominion over the resources placed in your hands. Too many people live beneath their potential because they believe wealth is outside of their control. They think it belongs to someone else or that they need permission to have it. But when you realize that the authority to produce wealth has already been given to you, you stop waiting and start creating. You stop surviving and start multiplying. In 2024, the world will continue to shift. Technology, industries, and opportunities will evolve. But those who tap into divine power will never be left behind because they are not limited to the trends of the marketplace. They are plugged into the source of abundance itself. That doesn't mean you ignore strategy or business knowledge. It means you understand that strategy without power is like a car without fuel. It may look good, but it won't move. Divine power is the fuel that propels your effort into abundance. So don't reduce wealth to the outcome of hustle alone. Yes, show up. Yes, put in the work. Yes, be disciplined. But remember that true wealth is birthed when human effort connects with divine empowerment. When you stop trying to carry the burden alone and instead align with the laws of increase, the doors of overflow open. Wealth is not about working yourself to exhaustion. It's about working in partnership with a power greater than yourself. That power has already been placed within you. The question is, will you keep grinding by your own strength, or will you activate the divine power to get wealth that has been waiting on you all along? For generations, people have been taught that the way to wealth is through harder work, longer hours, more sweat, and endless sacrifice. And while hard work has its place in 2024, the game has shifted. The world no longer rewards just effort, it rewards ideas. The most powerful tool you have is not your muscles or even the number of hours in your day. It is the creativity of your mind and the execution of the ideas you've been given. A single idea executed with precision can produce results that years of labor never could. Think about it. Every great company, every breakthrough innovation, every transformation in history began not with endless labor, but with a single idea. The smartphone you carry wasn't created because someone worked themselves to death. It was created because someone had an idea that changed how the world connects. Airplanes, electricity, automobiles, all of them started in the mind of someone who believed their idea was worth pursuing. That means you don't need more time, you need more vision. You don't need to add more to your workload. You need to tap into the creative power that can multiply what you do. The truth is, labor alone will always keep you in survival mode. You trade hours for dollars, and when the hours run out, so does the income. That's why so many people feel stuck. They are trying to create abundance with a system designed for limitation. But when you shift from labor to ideas, you move from addition to multiplication. An idea doesn't just produce once, it produces again and again. A book, for example, can be written one time but sold millions of times. A digital course can be created once but generate income for years. A business system can be designed once but serve thousands of people. That is the power of ideas. They keep working even when you stop. But ideas alone are not enough. Everyone has thoughts, but not everyone acts on them. The difference between a dreamer and a wealth builder is execution. Ideas are the seeds, but execution is the planting. You can sit with a bag full of seeds and starve, or you can plant them and create a harvest that sustains generations. In 2024, it is not just about being creative, it's about being courageous enough to execute. Fear keeps many people trapped, afraid that their idea will fail, afraid of what others might think. But wealth flows to those who take the risk, who step out, who act on the vision placed inside them. Creativity is a form of divine currency. Everyone has access to it, but not everyone uses it. Too often, people dismiss their ideas because they seem too small, too simple, or too impossible. But history shows us that some of the most powerful transformations began with simple ideas. Someone said, "What if food could be served quickly?" That birthed the fast food industry. Someone else said, "What if people could rent homes online instead of hotels?" That birthed Airbnb. The idea didn't have to be complex, it just had to be executed. Execution also requires focus. You don't need 100 ideas to change your life, you need one good idea executed well. Too many people scatter their energy across multiple unfinished projects, never bringing anything to completion. But when you focus, when you commit to mastering one vision, one business, one strategy, you create momentum. And momentum multiplies. Success is not about doing everything, it's about doing the right thing consistently until it produces. In 2024, opportunities are everywhere. Technology has made it possible to turn ideas into reality faster than ever. You can publish your work, start a business, reach an audience, or build a brand with tools that didn't even exist a generation ago. But with opportunity comes responsibility. You can't just sit and hope that your ideas will magically take shape. You must discipline yourself to put them into action, to refine them, and to commit to seeing them through. That is how transformation happens. Here's the truth. Your idea is the bridge between where you are and the wealth you desire. Labor will keep you walking in circles, but ideas will move you forward. You don't need to outwork everyone. You need to outthink them. You don't need to fight for every opportunity. You need to create opportunities through innovation. The world doesn't reward the person who works the hardest. It rewards the person who brings the most value. And value is always birthed in the mind before it shows up in the marketplace. So in this new year, stop measuring your worth by how many hours you work. Start measuring it by the quality of ideas you generate and the courage with which you execute them. One idea acted upon with focus can change your life, your family, and even your generation. Wealth is not hidden in endless labor. It is hidden in the wisdom to recognize your ideas, the creativity to shape them, and the faith to act on them. If you want transformation in 2024, don't just work harder, think deeper, act bolder, and watch how one idea can produce more than years of effort. Would you like me to now expand the third keynote? Obedience unlocks overflow in the same 700-word style, so you'll have all three parts complete for the full speech. Would you like me to do the same kind of 700-word expansion for the other two keynotes as well, so you end up with a full structured speech? In the pursuit of wealth, many people search for shortcuts, secrets, or strategies that promise quick success. They chase after trends, follow the crowd, and look for the next big opportunity. But the truth is, real abundance does not flow from luck or hype. It flows from obedience. When you operate with discipline, faith, and stewardship, managing what you have with wisdom and purpose, you unlock a level of overflow that cannot be explained by effort alone. Wealth flows where faith, action, and order are established, and obedience is the key that opens the door. Obedience begins with alignment. Too often, people try to create their own path without first asking if it is the right path. They hustle in directions that lead nowhere because they never stop to align their actions with the principles that govern abundance. The soil doesn't argue with the seed, it simply obeys the law of nature, and as a result, it produces a harvest. In the same way, when you obey the principles of stewardship, diligence, generosity, and integrity, your life begins to attract wealth naturally. Obedience places you in the flow of divine increase. One of the greatest misconceptions about wealth is that it comes only from strategy. Strategy is important, but strategy without obedience will always hit a ceiling. Think about it. How many people know what they should do financially but still don't do it? They know they should save, invest, or manage their money wisely, yet they ignore discipline and wonder why abundance escapes them. The truth is, knowledge without obedience leads to frustration. But when you obey, even in small things, you begin to see overflow. Discipline is one expression of obedience. It's easy to spend everything you make, to live only for today, or to chase every impulse. But discipline says, I will manage this resource with order because I know more is coming. When you prove that you can manage little with obedience, you qualify yourself for much. A person who wastes on 100 will not suddenly become wise with the 10 to the dozen, but the one who obeys principles of stewardship at every level creates a foundation that can handle increase. Overflow does not show up in chaos, it shows up where order is established. Faith is another dimension of obedience. Faith says, even when I don't see the full picture, I will act on the principle anyway. Many times, people want to understand everything before they take a step, but obedience often requires trust. You may not see how giving will lead to increase or how investing in your growth will produce returns, but obedience activates unseen forces that labor cannot. Faith-filled obedience is what separates those who only dream of wealth from those who actually experience it. Stewardship is where obedience is tested most. Can you manage what you already have with care and purpose? Can you honor the small beginnings instead of despising them? Too often, people say they will be disciplined once they have more, but overflow doesn't come to those who waste little. It comes to those who manage little with excellence. Stewardship is proof that you value what you've been given, and value attracts increase. Just as a farmer who protects his crops earns more harvest, the one who stewards resources faithfully attracts more resources to manage. Another key to obedience is consistency. One act of obedience can open a door, but consistent obedience keeps the doors open. Anyone can be disciplined for a week, generous for a day, or focused for a month. But the ones who live in overflow are those who obey continually, not occasionally. Consistency compounds. Just as water creates a canyon not by force, but by persistence, obedience creates overflow not by one big act, but by repeated alignment over time. In 2024, the world is filled with opportunities, but only those who operate with obedience will turn opportunity into abundance. The undisciplined will waste it, the faithless will doubt it, and the disobedient will miss it. But those who walk in obedience, who live by principles, manage resources with care, and act with faith, will see overflow in ways that defy explanation. That's because obedience doesn't just create wealth, it creates capacity. And when you have capacity, abundance doesn't crush you, it sustains you. Overflow is not about having more than enough for yourself, it is about having enough to impact others. When you obey the principles of abundance, you don't just unlock wealth for your own needs, you position yourself to be a blessing. True overflow means your cup is so full that it runs over to the lives of others. That is the ultimate purpose of wealth. Not just to build your life, but to create transformation for others. And that only happens when obedience is your foundation. So remember, this wealth is not just about effort, strategy, or talent. Those things matter, but without obedience, they crumble. Obedience unlocks overflow because it aligns you with the principles that govern abundance. When you manage with discipline, act with faith, and steward with excellence, you prove that you can handle increase. And when you can handle increase, you will not only experience wealth, you will